Hello Internet, Brian here for Work to Game Videos, and today I want to talk to you about the Famitsu interview, which was recently translated by Marco Turn for my friends over at Gamerscape.com. This is an epic interview, and I'm going to put the link in the show notes below, so be sure to check that out. Also, to note, it's a very long interview, so set some time aside to read it and really enjoy. And one last note before I jump into the main topic, this interview was also posted and translated earlier this week over on Reddit, and Mr. Happy actually did a really awesome video about it. I also recommend that you check that out as well, and I'll be sure to link to it. Now, that being said, I want to focus on my top 5 takeaways and what it's going to mean for the battle system and what I kind of gleaned off of that after reading this interview. So the interview itself covers many different topics, but I'm going to just really be focusing in on what it means for the battle system and what some assumptions and some speculation that we have to go off of. Number one, the battle system revamp with 4.0 is going to keep the class system, even though no new classes are being made or planned. And what really is important that should be said is that the merging of the class system and the job system should happen, but it's not really a question of, it's more a question of when than if. But still, it's still not 100% guaranteed that it's going to happen. But if it were, he's really thinking, maybe around 5.0, due to the immense amount of work that's needed. One of those, pieces of work that has to happen is that you have to go update all the quests for the class stories, etc., to be more job based. I think this is interesting. It actually surprises me. But it's good to know kind of how that going forward, and it's also good because they're definitely going in that direction. And it's not guaranteed to be 5.0, but he mentioned that obviously they have the data, and it is confusing for new players. As they come into the game, they always end up running into this wall of, wait, what is this thing called a job? And I need it to really advance. So, we'll cross that bridge when we cross that bridge, right? Okay, number 2. The number of changes they are planning for the battle system revamped is vast. And in the interview, Yoshi P gave several examples to highlight some of the changes that they are considering and testing, but they aren't finished. And until they are, he doesn't want to share too much info, but he did say the jobs are going to feel like they should. Hopefully, we'll get more insight into these changes in the coming months. One example he did give is that for Black Mage and Enochian, and he was thinking making it more of like a permanent buff so that it doesn't wear off, but as the player performed well, they would continually get buffed and buffed and buffed. So like he gave the example of like a plus sign applied to the buff as well. So I thought that was fascinating and interesting, and just one example. So that is not to say that is confirmed to happen. That is just an example that he gave. Number 3, at level 70, our rotations really shouldn't contain more actions than they currently do, or it won't feel overwhelming. And it sounds like each, job is going to actually get more job-specific UI to help them play their job. So like Dark Knight's Dark Side ability would have some kind of UI for that ability, for that stance, or what you call it. Monk would have something different to manage their Grease Lightning, like various orbs that would fill up as those where the stacks were. Now the job UI is. So hopefully that will help make it easier. Not that we're not going to have to manage dots or our abilities as such. It's just that we should see it be more focused, a little bit easier. And personally, I'm very excited to see what it looks like. It should make also then each job feel more unique to play, etc. Now, regarding number 4, regarding the cross-class abilities turning into a shared role ability system, the 2 things that I took away from the interview, that the system will actually promote more job uniqueness. So you're gonna feel more unique as a job because of it. And then will be very possible that if a job loses an action or ability, that the player base, especially like if the player base considers it required for that job, then they have plans to really actually introduce new abilities for the job to fill the place of what was lost. Looking kind of at tanks as an example of this, here's a quote from the article. Here's what Yoshi P said. The current 3 tank jobs will share the same abilities, and introducing defensive abilities such as physical damage resistance 20% up into the role shared abilities. In their stead, we will create new unique abilities for jobs. You might think of it will become easier, but the matter of fact is that it won't. We will remove useless parts in order to strengthen party cooperation and skill rotation. By making the system simpler, we will go much deeper with the battle system, but we don't plan to widen the gap among players because of player skill. So I think that the gap will be somewhat filled between casual and hardcore players. However, you will see a gap open between intermediate and advanced players. End quote. Anyway, just think on that. I think that's a very important and something that I think he's kind of alluded to with what he calls kind of the skill gap with 3.0, right? So you have players that might be intermediate, but the difference between them and the advanced players is wide. So he doesn't want to, but he also says in the interview, he doesn't want to lower those advanced players, and he really gives them such incredible high praise. What he wants to do is help bring up more casual players, or more, and bring them more into that intermediate level and give them a pathway to be able to develop into these advanced players that he's referring to. So don't worry just yet. Obviously, when we get our hands on it in early summer, we'll know for sure as we learn the new system. Anyway. Lastly, number 5, they are still considering the jumping potion, and it's important, this topic for the battle system because it really applies overall, right? So. And for Japan, EU, and the NA markets, it's actually being considered because it actually is. They need it for Korea and for China, so it's being developed regardless. And right now, they feel like it should come to kind of their global market for everybody at kind of like a 7-to-1 ratio of opinion there. So they kind of said out of 100, 70 people said yes, 30 people said no, and so that it's still being developed, but it's whether we're going to get it here in North America, Europe, or Japan is really the question. What is important essentially is that it's going to allow players to, I guess, boost up to the end of Heaven's Word so they can pick right up with Stormblood. And essentially, because of this, they've talked about having what they call like maybe an intermediate hall to help train and do various more advanced skill teaching for players. Now, this is brought up in the training of players is brought up, and so maybe and this is just pure speculation on my point. The following idea is that maybe that if the system is used, perhaps that becomes more of a requirement as opposed to something that is optional. Right now, who knows? Now, all in all, like obviously, if you got players who never played before and all of a sudden they're level 60, there's going to be a lot of changes. The thing is that I think it, good or bad, right or wrong, that because of so many battle system changes, as Yoshi P said himself, vast. A player jumping at level 60 and us at level 60 trying to figure out what's all changed, there is just going to be a lot of learning when the expansion drops, where it probably will come to hurt us later. More so is that once we've figured out the new system, people are 70, you'll still have people who are going to be still learning. So that's going to be something that lives on. So, but also that if they do introduce it, it sounds like that, then as we go forward, that's just going to be a natural part of our system. Anyway, this was a great interview. There is a lot more information about the game and the game's future over it. I highly recommend, again, you go check it out. And if you'd like me to do more videos really about this interview, let me know. Like if there's something that stood out to you, ask me a question below in the comments. And if it requires a video, I'll happily put one together. But anyway, it's still, again, I just want to direct you over to go read that. One thing I do find interesting overall is that the game itself is getting a big boost to its budget. Now, this wasn't from the interview, but still that 34 million has been, from like Square Enix financial reporting site, is set for the budget for Stormblood, and Heaven's Word had a budget of 14 million. So we're getting a 20 million boost in budget. Now, the reason I thought really the class system was going away. It's not just because of the little tells with the fact that we didn't get classes in Heaven's Word, we're not getting them obviously in Stormblood, but it was a budgetary thing. It's that if we've got this increased budget, well, what are they working on? Not just content, not just server architecture, etc., but like, wow, they're spending some money, they're dropping some some coin to get this done, and that's actually one of the reasons why I was thinking that we would see it with 4.0, but because that's actually not the case, has me incredibly excited for 4.0 from a content perspective, from what they probably have planned and what they're working on, as well as what this communicates to us as the player base is that Square Enix is investing in Final Fantasy. Just the other week, and this is just a complete side note before we sign off, but I was on a website forum. I was doing some Googling, and I ended up getting to like this forum back from when 2.0 was coming out, and it was all like, how many months till it's free to play, right? Because a lot of people had that expectation of MMOs now, like they come up, okay, whatever, it's a subscription based game, that's not going to last. But here we are, 4 years past the anniversary of the end of an era, moving our way into 4.0, and then the article is also talking about their plans that they're developed through 6.0, and so Square Enix is investing in this game. They're investing in us. It's a great game, and I'm happy to be a part of the community. Anyway, so that was just a fun little aside. So before I sign off, I just want to know what you think. Does this information have you worried about your favorite jobs and how they're going to play? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to obviously like this video if you want to see more Stormblood speculation videos and content on the channel. But as always, really thanks so much for watching. I really hope you have a fantastic day, and right now at recording of this, just a couple more, just a little bit more than a week before Final Fantasy XV, so it's gonna be a great year. It's gonna be a great year. Anyway, for Work to Game videos, my name is Brian. I hope you have a fantastic day.